Sipho Kekana. Sipho, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I had hoped that we would be sitting here under different circumstances. Tokyo Sokgwale is still in the running to be a presidential, hopeful for FIFA, but it's not the case. He withdrew. Did you foresee this coming?
Not at all. I expected him to withdraw, but only a few days ago, especially when Gianni Infantino visited him and they went to Robben Island, I expected that perhaps that visit by Infantino was meant for him to say, you know what, my campaign ends here. I am supporting this guy going forward. He didn't do that. I did not expect that he would actually walk onto that stage with the whole world watching and say that my campaign ends here. That was just a shocker.
Yep. And we understand, of course, the voting is continuing, of course, with the visuals just behind us there. More people coming in delegation to make their vote. But let's talk about, the support or the support he didn't receive, rather. That's Tokyo Sokgwale. We do know that CAF did not show any support whatsoever towards him. As a matter of fact, it went to Sheikh Al Khalifa. Why do you think that was the case? And do you think SAFA supported him?
There's a problem. I think the first interview when he announced that he was actually going to run for FIFA presidency, I did mention the fact that it was going to be very, very difficult for him to get the support from African countries. There seems to be this, I'm not sure if Africans are suffering from inferiority complex kind of mentality, but this is the same situation that we had even when we were bidding for the FIFA World Cup. We struggled to get even the support of countries like Botswana, our own neighbors. So it was always going to be very difficult for this guy to get the support of African countries. So it is very worrying, the fact that you even until today you still have Africans not feeling that they are good enough to actually go for such positions, that they would rather align themselves with people who they view or perceive as superior to them, that perhaps in the future those people can reward them for their loyalty and support.
Well, let's take a look at some of the candidates, of course, that are still in the race, and one that Africa definitely supported. We have here Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa. Of course, just some of the points that he made during his argument is, number one, of course, the Bahraini royal is, of course, president of the Asian Football Confederation and FIFA executive committee member. He wants a separation of the generation of funds and the supervising of the flow of all money spent, wants allocation of development funds to be allocated, and lastly, calling for a review of the entire senior management structure. Will this work? Is this the kind of change that FIFA needs?
Absolutely. I think he made some very good points. The only worry that I had with his speech is that he didn't touch a lot. He's getting I think 53, and it could be 54, with 54 votes from Africa, with Sokgwale out now. SAFA most likely to actually give their vote to him. So, but he didn't actually come out to say what his plans are in terms of improving football on the continent, as far as that is concerned. I only heard that from Infantino. He was very vocal about Africa, wants to see Africa develop, wants to see Africa flourish. And I thought actually Infantino, by the way, Sheikh Salman remains actually the top candidate, the most favorite. But in my personal view, I think Infantino made the best speech.
All right. Well, let's take a look at what Gianni Infantino had to say. Well, number one, of course, he's the UEFA General Secretary, who has been at the European football's governing body since the year 2000, so 16 years in this game. Wants a regional World Cup, calling for remuneration transparency for senior FIFA members, also calling for transparency in tendering process for commercial and operational contracts. Is that viable enough?
I think so. I agree with that. I mean, for transparency, for many decades, FIFA has actually been doing their businesses under the table. There's been many reports of corruption, and they actually were going out of their way to actually make sure that they cover up. It was obviously it was there for everybody to see that they were just not honest. So for somebody who's coming out and talking about transparency at FIFA, I think that's the main change. I mean, we are here today with this Congress to day an emergency Congress, because there has not been transparency
Absolutely.
at FIFA.
Because of that corruption. All right, let's move on now to Jerome Champagne now. He is FIFA's former Deputy General Secretary, who also once worked in the French diplomatic service. I mean, he's running on his intimate knowledge of FIFA. He is for the introduction of technology to assist referees, rather wants to address the inequalities in the distribution of football, money. But also one key thing he mentioned, there's inclusion of women at FIFA. What do you think about that? I'm sure women around the world want to see more football, women football events being just as publicized as the males.
Well, women football is actually growing in leaps and bounds, and I think it was a very strategic point by him to actually mention the introduction of women at management of football. So I think he also touched on the inequalities and distribution of football money. Again, talking about transparency, money and transparency has been a huge issue at FIFA, and that's why I think we are hearing all these candidates coming up and talking about the transparency. That anybody who may be able to champion that change should actually be able to be the hero, I should say. Yeah.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm hoping that we can just get Prince Ali. There we have it. Prince Ali bin Al Hussein, who's also the fourth and final candidate, of course, vouching for this position. Now, he's a member of the Jordanian royal family who lost to Sepp Blatter in last May's presidential election. Like all the other candidates, he wants to restore people's faith in FIFA. He's calling for more inclusion of confederations and national associations in decision-making, and wants to take FIFA, or rather make FIFA more transparent and open in a way it conducts business. Seems like corruption is at the top list of every candidate, ensuring that it is outed and no longer exists, of course, in the federation.
Of course, and he's actually making a very good point there, talking about the inclusion of confederations and national associations in decision making, because at the end of the day, it is not about the FIFA president, it is not about the FIFA management. They are actually just on the driving seat of these huge organization, but it is about those associations, and in fact, if anybody who would be able to recognize the importance of the national associations should actually get a thumbs up from me.
Now, I need to put you on the spot, Sipho, before I let you go. Out of the four that we've just seen and all the reforms written and read, who do you think stands a chance of at least winning that 2/3 majority?
I think anybody who has the support of Africa with 54 member associations should actually have the upper hand going into this, and that is Sheikh Salman Al Khalifa. I would think that he's best positioned to actually be the FIFA president. And on a personal note, I liked what Sohale did, actually, by the way. It was a very strategic move for him to actually walk up onto that stage and actually say, I am a candidate of consensus. I am a candidate of unity. I am not going to go through with this and divide the votes. I'd like to see unity within FIFA. I think that was very strategic, and that has actually endeared him to not only to Infantino but all the four candidates. And I think, he knew from the word go that he was not going to actually win. So for him to do that now, he's endeared himself to all the four candidates, and he's spoken about his willingness to serve under any of them. So I think going forward, we're going to see him in FIFA. He is most likely going to get a FIFA post from now.
Alrighty then, Sipho Kekana, thank you so much for your time. Thank
you
for joining us. Well, there was Sipho Kekana, of course, our own digital producer and sports right here on SABC News, taking us through what has been happening in Zurich, Switzerland. If you don't know, well, of course, it is headlines that Tokyo Sohale, South African businessman, has officially pulled out of the presidential candidates